All right, guys. This first segment is going to be us talking about the Utah Utes and could Utah win the Big 12 in 2025? It sounds a little wild considering Utah just went 5-7, but when you consider all the details, guys, it shouldn't come as a complete shocker. As much as Utah did only win 5 games last year, they were really in almost every single game they played, and we're going to break it down in a little more detail here. I'm going to pull up an article here by Jason Jones of Utah Utes on SI, and it's going to break down a lot of detail. ESPN came out with Utah as the favorite to win the Big 12 and be the number 3 seed in the college football playoff. I know to a lot of us that seems wild, even as a Utah fan, that almost feels a little bold considering how these past 2 years have went. But I think with a little more detail, you guys will see where it's coming from. Let's go ahead and pull up that article now. Okay, guys, like I said, this is an article by Jason Jones. Kyle Whittingham and Utah projected to win Big 12 with CFP playoff bid in 2025. I'm going to move down a little bit to here. Standout in the projections is the University of Utah, ranked as the number 3 seed. ESPN not only predicts the Utes will claim the Big 12 title, but also foresees significant success in the postseason. According to the projection, Utah will defeat number 6 Texas in the Cotton Bowl, advancing to a semifinal matchup in the Fiesta Bowl against number 2 Penn State. Unfortunately, ESPN predicts a narrow loss to the Nittany Lions, ending Utah's playoff run. And I mean, that would be an awesome year as a Utah fan. That would be a huge year. And we did play Penn State in the Rose Bowl a couple years ago, and in that game, it was Cam Rising got injured, but even before he got injured, it was like a slugfest. Penn State is no joke. There's a reason they were in the Final Four. And Notre Dame was a very good team that made it to the finals, and it was a razor thin margin of victory for Notre Dame against Penn State. So Penn State's, a no joke team, and I expect with the new CFP model, they'll just continue to get better. Despite a rocky debut season, the Big 12, due to numerous injuries, Utah's resilience and potential for growth make them a favorite for the upcoming season. In 2024, the Utes struggled offensively, but still managed to remain competitive, losing 5 one-score games and maintaining a top defense. With most of the defensive lineup returning, marginal improvements on offense could propel Utah to new heights. Here's what ESPN's Bill Connolly wrote. So I'll touch on that before we talk about what Bill Connolly said. But it's so true, guys. Utah, just pulling up Utah's record for 2024. Sorry. Football schedule. Sorry. I'm going to pull it up right here. So looking at Utah's football schedule in 2024, there was so many just razor thin games, guys. You look at our losses here. Arizona was a 13-point loss. That was a bit of a bad loss, but Arizona State an 8-point loss. So kind of a tough one-score loss. But you think about it, guys, Arizona State, they won the Big 12 and nearly took down Texas. And Texas was very high powered. Let me put this on the screen for you guys. You look at this. I mean, Arizona State nearly took down Texas. We only lost by 6 points to TCU. Our defense was lights out. Our offense just could not do anything. Again, Houston, only 3 points. BYU, the refs gave them that 1 point. Colorado, 24-49. That was probably the only game where we really got the really beat up, right? That's just really what happened. They did pull away late in the game, but it was a good win for Colorado beginning to end. I don't feel bad saying that. That's just the truth of the matter. And then you see here, Iowa State, 28-31, razor thin again, and that's a top 25 team. You look at this, like 3 teams in a row, 2 out of the 3 teams were top 25 teams that we lost to by 3 points or less. At UCF, we win the game. So you guys can break down that schedule. So we score 4 more points here, we win the game. We score 2 more points here, we win the game. We score 4 more points here, we win the game. We score 7 more points here, we win the game. And I won't go down the entire list, but you can imagine how that season becomes very different. One thing a lot of sites will do is they do a luck projection or a luck rating. And basically it says like how lucky you were as a team. I'll go ahead and pull that up real quick just so you guys can get an idea of what I'm talking about here. Yeah, so I'm going to put this on the screen. So this is the luck rating of every team, right? So take a look here. And basically what it does, it accounts for a lot of things like um, if it was a tight game at the end of the game and blank number shows that the other team would win X% of the time. I hope that's making sense. So it's like, hey, if a team rushes for 200 yards, they usually win blank percent of the time, like a high percentage of the time. Or if blank team turns the ball over less than blank percent of the time, they win the game. That's kind of what this is, like how much luck played into it. And you can see here, and I'm not trashing BYU, but I've mentioned it before. BYU had a lucky year, and that's not saying they weren't skilled, they weren't a talented team, but they won a lot of really tight games and really wild things happened for them to win a lot of these games. Arizona State, another team that had a ton of luck. Let's keep going down the list here. I mean, there's a bunch of teams up here that had a lot of luck. Notre Dame, above average lucky. And you go all the way down this list, guys. Look at who is number 131. And I think this is a good reference point that UCF would be number 134. It's because UCF they're a great example. So is Utah, where it's like they had really good stats and they could not win games. And I think that just goes to show you just how important the quarterback position is in the modern era, right? It will make or break your year. Moving back over to this article, Arizona State will have a solid chance to back up its 2024 breakthrough in 2025. Returning quarterback Sam Levitt, wideout Jordan Tyson, and a number of exciting pieces on defense that were responsible for ASU's late season surge as the offense. But the Sun Devils have to replace their heart and soul identity. I was going to mention Cam Scatterbo. Not that I don't think Arizona State will be a contender. I think Sam Levitt looked awesome this year, improved it, especially against Utah. He made plays. He made plays when nothing was there. He was very impressive in my eyes. But Cam Scatterbo was special, special, special. He's going to be a day one, day two pick. If he's not, that's crazy. I don't think every team will have him graded there, but someone's going to take him. You go watch that film, guys. Crazy stuff he did. Like guys having him, multiple guys dead to rights in the backfield with Cam Scatterbo, and him just cutting and changing direction at ridiculous levels. So really, really important. And then you see here in the most parity-friendly major conference in college football, you rarely get the breaks you need in consecutive seasons. So ASU, Iowa State, and Texas Tech are out in their role. So it's basically saying like, hey, when you're talking about a bunch of one-score games, so Arizona State was 6-2 in one-score games, Iowa State 5-1, Texas Tech 6-1. Kansas and Utah were both 1-5 in one-score games. And that's, again, talking about that luck factor, right, guys? Where, hey, if you want to consistently win year in and year out, especially in a conference as competitive as the Big 12, you don't want to just be riding on that one-score game luck. And it is consistently one of the numbers that projects next season's success is how many one-score games you're winning. Usually if you're a 10-2 or 10-3 or 11-2 team that did that with a lot of one-score wins, there's a really good chance you're going to rebound and have a lot of one-score losses, because a lot of that there is luck involved. And that's why I pulled up those luck numbers, guys. That's the Utah situation. Utah could be the favorite to win the Big 12. There's betting odds that show that Utah's tied for first place, and ESPN has them projected to be the number 3 team in the CFP heading into 2025.